Testing. We are back here in succulent Falmouth on the Cape. That is a very, very large lens next to me. Shameless plug. Who is it, John? It's you.
That's what she said. Telephoto length 600 millimeters. Yeah. This episode is sponsored by Light Flex Studios. Light is in light, flex is in we flex the light, or we shape the
light and flex. So much to unpack there.
And studios plural. Light Flex Studios plural.
Gentlemen, when your women say size doesn't matter and they're staring at it going, no, they're lying. Okay. Anyway, so
this is how you see Julian Edelman catching the ball before it hits the carpet.
He could fit
one of these
inside
right?
that thing. It's so damn big.
But the point is, for real, I do sports, and if you have a sports team, what I recommend is you get the entire sports team together, all the parents, get the team, and we will give you the professional pictures.
Shameless plug.
It's a shameful plug.
Shameful.
But yeah, we will show you that your child has professional form. So call us up. We will do your game, and you will love it.
Another shameless plug. Those of you in the know what this is. The greatest beer ever, the Porch Rocker. Sam. Oh yeah, if you're gonna rock
the most important patriot,
rock it one way.
Samuel Adams.
The most important patriot. That's right. Which brings us into our final segment of the evening.
We are
going to talk Patriots football. Yeah. Training camp started yesterday. Everybody came back. Mac attack was in full effect. Completed 11 of 18 in the 11 on 11 drills. Bill Belichick spoke and, as usual, said nothing. Because that's what Bill does.
He's the master of nothing.
He's the master of nothing.
The master of, oh my God.
Yes.
The master of nothing.
The master of nothing. That would be one Bill Belichick. If the man deserves credit for anything, he is capable of saying so much and yet saying so little. And the question was posed to him. And here's the thing about being back up in the Boston area, which if I forgot what I didn't miss about this place. I turn on EEI just because it's a habit. I listen to a half hour of Mazza Snoddy and Felger and those clowns, and I just want to beat the shit out of somebody because all they do is, and I know why they have to do it. It's their job. But I mean, good God! I mean, the stuff they stir. Well, it's what we hear. It's what we hear. I mean, all about what we hear. All we hear. It's like, when? Oh my God! When does look at Bill?
Can I give you a Super Bowl story
right now? Sure. Why not? We're talking about the Patriots. Is it about the Patriots?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's about the Patriots.
Yeah, sure.
So I sometimes feel like it's not what you say. How you make someone feel. That's what they're left with, and that's why I've always loved the Patriots. I just really, oh my God, they are my favorite.
Well, it's what you do. It's not what you say. It's what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah. And how you do it.
And when I went to the last Patriots Super Bowl, they had the combine activities. So they had the 225-pound bench, and I did the bench press, and I did 27 reps with the bench. Is that slowing down at the end? And then the guy told me that's the record that you've tied the combine record. And then there was the actual sports channel, whatever one of the big networks was in the middle. We got onto the set and I had my phone out and they were on break. I'm like, can I use you set the sure? And I'm like, oh, here I am. And I was being interviewed for tying the combine record. And it was just a fun video I did with Kristen. The whole experience was fun. And of course, Patriots won. Gronk at the end. It was just incredible. But the funniest thing is, so here's something about football fans, men and women. Here's my comment. All the women that I know saw my video on Facebook of me doing those benches. They're like, "Oh, John, I hope you have a good time." Like, no one, they didn't even know what it meant. They weren't paying attention. Not one comment from any men, not publicly, but every time I ran into one of them, they're like, "John, you did all those reps," and I had to tell them all, guys, the combine is fake. I was bench pressing 5 pounds. I made it look real. My wife afterwards came up to me. She's like, "John, are you okay? You seem like you're really struggling." I'm like, I just stopped because I was getting bored of doing reps and I was making it look like hard. But every guy who came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh my," and what confused, like, I knew you couldn't bench press or anything. One of my friends went on a hardcore training program, got up. We're old. He got up to bench pressing 350 pounds just because I fake bench pressed at the combine. That's my Super Bowl story. That's my football is fun. I find that's a fun story. I thought it was an anthropological study to boot too. But there you go.
Absolutely nowhere to go with that.
Right, I know.
I guess
It's training camp time.
I
You know,
guess
we don't have anything real to go on.
I
so here
guess
we go, right?
the lesson there to be learned, ladies and gentlemen, is that the fact that not a single male commented online, but that tells you where the male ego is.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
that's pathetic on so many
It
levels.
really, truly is.
That
Shocking.
If he was able to do
Shocking.
that, you weren't just genuinely happy for him.
No.
No.
So, nope.
No.
I'm not going to lose out to that loser.
No, that clown, he couldn't be. Yeah, that is where, that's how fragile the male ego is. And women watch this are going to laugh because you probably knew it all along anyway.
That's why the
but-
moves are called the Blitz.
The Blitz,
We play
yeah.
on the gridiron.
So, Bill Belichick has I can't say come under fire because he's not under fire yet. But over just the whole, why are we not going to know, probably ever, who is calling the plays on offense?
I know.
Defense?
What?
Look, I am all for, and I coached for 22 years, high school. I coached AAU. I understand. I played the game. I get it. I am all for gaining any advantage possible as a player or as a coach that you can over an opponent. And the great unknown here, which, look, if you don't know who's calling the plays, it's kind of hard to watch game film because they don't, you don't know what they're going to be week to week. But the thing is, the Patriots are already known for being an amoeba. Okay, at least they were when they had Tom Brady. They could be whatever they wanted to be in a given week to beat that opponent, whatever that defense was. So the league already knows that you try to do this.
Even intra-game adjustments were bigger than your average
This is
team.
not something that isn't already known. Because if every camera's going to go back to Bill Belichick every time a play is called, well, he's the head coach anyway. Okay, and the Patriots for 20 years that's what they've prided themselves on, being a game to game, week to week, adjustment based, all, whatever it has to be offense to beat the opponent on that given Sunday. They don't just, here's what we do and we're going to do it better than you can stop it. That's not who they are. Okay, they've never been that way. Nothing has changed. The fact they went out and drafted a quarterback who's eerily similar to the one they let walk, by the way, is an admission of guilt that you screwed up by letting Brady walk because you went to try and find his clone. Because if Mac Jones is what we all hope he is, okay, then they're going to be able to go out week to week and game plan, game to game.
I have a lot of faith in him.
Well, no, this ain't got nothing to do with Mac Jones. I think he can be a Hall of Famer, but he's not Tom Brady.
No.
Okay,
Nobody is.
He can win. Look, Mac Jones could win 3 Super Bowls here. He'd only be half as good as Tom Brady. Yeah. Okay, and that's saying a lot because you count on one hand the number of quarterbacks that have won 3 Super Bowls. Okay, that's the rarefied air I think he can touch. But he's not Tom Brady. He's never going to be Tom Brady. Okay, but the bottom line is you had Tom Brady. You could have kept Tom Brady, who's not done, who's nowhere near done. And by the way, that ship is now sailed. By the way, they're a favorite to win the Super Bowl again. Just signed Julio Jones. Okay. So Tom Brady's not going anywhere, Bill. Okay, so the problem is, even if we get through this nightmare of an AFC, which would be a miracle, by the way, who could be waiting there at the end? Tom Brady. Okay, so
I think it's Buffalo, Miami, Patriots.
This whole thing about
favorites.
naming, I don't honestly give a frog's fat ass who what is, because the buck stops with Belichick. And to me, as I said before, okay, he had 3 years to win the Super Bowl from the time Brady left Foxborough. We are in year 3, people. Take a good look at the AFC and tell me where the Patriots lie right now, and try and do it from an objective point of view. Because if you
They're not number 1.
if you think they're in the top 5, because they're not in the top 5. You think they're in the top 5 right now? You are delusional. Okay, you are a Bill Belichick scrotum scrubbing, ball washing buffoon.
Was that a Lewis Black?
That too. No, that's an RJ special. Okay. The bottom line is, but I know where you got it from. Okay. And look, we all should have a person like that in our life. At least every man should. Yeah. But I digress. The bottom line is this. Okay. Bill Belichick has made his bed, and he is now backed into a corner because Tom Brady went out and won a Super Bowl without him. He doesn't need Bill Belichick to win. Bill Belichick now needs to prove that he can win without Tom Brady.
RJ, you should do some special episodes on I Don't Disagree called I Don't Digress.
I don't.
Only problem is it would never be true.
But what I want to know from John, who's up here in the heart of Patriot Nation, like Sean Darcy, another diehard. You saw Mac in year 1. I want to know what your thoughts were on him, what you liked about him, and what your hopes are for him in year 2. Knowing that with Josh McDaniels gone, that he's going to have full rate. He has to right, have full reign of his offense. It's his offense now. So what do you like about him in his rookie year? What you liked, and what do you think his realistic expectation should be for year 2 in terms of an ascension or progress?
Well, I'll tell you how I feel. So I mentioned a few times. I'm a little bit more about like slightly more big picture and feelings because football, it's a business and it's a sport. It's a game. People sometimes like to make a point and say, well, it's a business, and then the flip side, oh well, it's a game. Well, of course it's both.
Well,
I'm not interested. I'm not on the business side, so I'm just a fan. I'm just about feelings and like what do I see? Well, I will tell you that I can't imagine like not feeling bitter disappointment at Tom Brady leaving, and he's the closest thing I've come to saying, "Wow, he's taken away some of the sting." Because I really feel there's a lot of potential for Mac Jones. I hope he's not injury prone. I hope he has a long career. That's going to be key. Of course, football is a game of attrition.
yes.
With the AFC loaded the way it is, it's going to be interesting to just see how he's going to where he's going to arrive. Because I feel like he's one of those few people that maximizes their talent by having one of the big pluses about their personality being that they've got the winning mentality and they're willing to put in everything it takes to get ahead, to get that edge on the competition. Now, very few people I feel can pull that off. Tom Brady was one of them, but there's a lot of talent out there where you can just see when people give up. And I feel like the biggest thing in football is one of the reasons I love football is everything that happens on the field in those 60 minutes counts. And not only that, but all the prep that goes into it. And I feel like Mac Jones is going to do that prep. And it's not sexy. We don't see a lot of it. I'm not going to subscribe to the NFL Plus and look at how they dry their cleats. I'm not going to go that involved. But Mac Jones, I'm confident, would have a great cleat drying technique. What would I be watching? So how I feel about Mac Jones is I'm glad we have him. Everyone in his class, I feel he's outclassed everyone in his class. I don't think that's in dispute anymore. And I think they throttled him back last year. They don't want him to get hurt. You don't want to overextend. You don't want to crush your ego by putting you in a position to lose when there's plenty of time to win. So I can't say that I'm putting a cap on where he's going. I will tell you this: if we had a quarterback that we didn't like, I would let you know. I'm a huge Patriots fan. I'm always going to be if I feel like it's an even match, I'm always going to pick the Patriots. Mm-hmm. That's who I am. I grew up loving the Patriots above any other sports team on the planet. Mm-hmm. So my feeling about Mac Jones is let's go Patriots. Let's see what you can bring. Mm. And I really truly feel a great deal of hope. Sad to see Tom Brady go, but I mean I couldn't think of a better replacement given the circumstance.
Of course. So and that's the key. I agree with everything you just said about him and the feeling that he's given Patriots fans. He's given them hope. Yeah. Because usually when you lose a guy like that, and in my lifetime, the only guy like that was Bird. When he left, there was this, oh God, what now? Right. And when Brady left, that was the feeling, what now? And
I would love to see Patriots Tampa, but it's probably not going to happen before Brady retires. I mean, who knows?
Who knows? You never know. But
I mean, Brady's only going to play 5 more years, so I guess.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I agree. Everything you just said. What I would say to this, Mac Jones. This is year 2 in this offense. A lot of these pieces came in last year with him as a rookie, meaning via free agency. So they've kind of come in together, a lot of them. Jacoby Myers being the running backs, basically. But the receiving core, basically, this is their second year together. Mm-hmm. So as I said on Saturday when I spoke to Sean about this, to me, Jonnu Smith was the X factor. He grossly underachieved last year. There's a lot of myths and theories as to why that happened. He's such a physical, from a talent perspective, he's such a physical specimen. There are things you don't need to complicate. I think you need to get him in space.
Right.
And you get him down the field. You get him one-on-one, and you need to throw up those 50-50 balls and let him do what he does best. You don't need to overcomplicate it with a player like that. We had Randy Moss. Did we overcomplicate it with Randy Moss? No, we did not.
He was
Because we knew what he was going to do against his whoever they matched up. John Smith is that he's not Randy Moss as a wideout, but as a tight end, he's got that kind of skill set where if you get him one-on-one, which given what they have around him, it's going to be hard to double team him. He's going to be one-on-one a lot. You've got to really get this guy involved because if you do, that offense goes from good to potentially great.
Yeah,
and they're going to need a great offense because the defense right now, and that's Bill Belichick's specialty. He doesn't have a number one corner. He had two of them 12 months ago, and he gave them away. But he doesn't have a true number one. He's got pass rushers. He's got a safety in McCourty who could be a Hall of Famer. He's that close, I think. But after that, he's got Jonnu Smith to rush the passer on the edge. But in terms of the secondary, in a passing league, and Buffalo was in your division, and by the way, so was the Cheetah now in Miami.
Yeah,
we couldn't stop him. Listen, you've got to fight fire with fire. Sometimes the best defense, and I alluded to this a bit the other day, is a good offense. They got to turn this kid loose, John.
I agree.
They got to turn him loose.
I'll tell you my main criticism about Belichick. Like, I know you have a recipe for winning, and you've got standards, and you've got a culture. The one exception is that there is always an exception. Like, I feel that he could have gone to the team and said, "No, if you show up late, we're sending you home." To anybody, and still make an exception for Tom Brady and just say, "Unless you're the greatest of all time," and what player would disagree with that? And just say, you know what? At this, Tom has earned it. We're gonna just tell Tom. Why don't you just tell us what it is you want to do and how you want to do it? And that would not have negatively affected the team. And Belichick is a little too focused on his hardcore, his on his standards of conduct. Yeah. So what I'm kind of what I'll be looking for this year in terms of the magic and this kind of the soft analysis, I suppose, would be: does Belichick have any like a little different approach, or like what's going to happen now? Mac Jones is not Tom Brady. He's not an exception. I'm not saying bring in this exception rule that I just said.
No.
But is he going to have is he going to really truly do what's best to get the team to win? He always says that, obviously, and no one's perfect. Is he going to be a better coach by having lost Tom Brady? Now he's got Mac Jones. I'm really going to be paying attention to what goes on with these two and the Patriots.
Well,
going forward,
you make a valid point. He's got to let this kid be himself. I understand to a point when you've got a rookie, you want to protect him. You want to set him up. I understand that to a point. But here's the thing: Mac Jones played for Alabama.
Right.
Okay. He played in the SEC, which most of us, for those of you who don't know, we call the SEC the NFL D League. Okay, right. Because that's what the SEC is. Okay. He played at Alabama. Okay, which has the most national titles in history. He has had a spotlight on him since he was 18 years old. All he has done is play in big games in front of 100,000 people every Saturday. What on earth?
Bigger than most
NFL stadiums, I might add. What on earth is this kid going to come across that he's afraid of?
Right.
Because he was under a micro. He has felt pressure his entire college career. This is just an extension of that, and by now it's old hat to him. Belichick and Nick Saban go way back. Saban worked for Belichick.
Which is why I think they throttled him back too much last year.
Yeah, I think Josh McDaniels was part of the problem. Yeah. They need to turn this kid loose. And if you don't have a shutdown corner and you can't stop anybody, you better damn well be able to go toe-to-toe with somebody on offense, which means, to your point, John, Belichick has to turn this kid and let him turn him loose. If you went and spent all this money on these offensive weapons for the kid, let him take the toys out for a spin and see what he can do with them. Because your alternative.
I'd like to push him to the point that he's not performing and just see where that is. Because every test they've given him, to my eyes, he's passed. So let's see a point where he can't do it.
He has
when he can't do it, you're like, okay, let's pull back, let's adjust, but let's get him there.
Bill Belichick proved last year when there wasn't a nor'easter in the stadium, he couldn't stop Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Couldn't stop him in Foxborough, couldn't stop him in Buffalo. He can't stop him. He doesn't have the personnel to do it, which, by the way, that's his fault because he's the GM. But he does have the personnel on offense to potentially match him score for score if he lets this kid be what he has been for 4 years at Alabama. Do you think Nick Saban and Nick Saban's not the coach Bill Belichick is, and I know it's a lower level, but the SEC is the best conference in college football by far. No one with a straight face would argue that.
Yeah. No,
And Nick Saban let this kid turn him loose every week. He went and got the talent around him and he turned him loose. Bill Belichick needs to take the same approach because he doesn't have the defense that he wants to have, at least not yet, where he can lock a team down. He doesn't have a number one corner, not yet. He re-signed Malcolm Butler 8 years ago. Malcolm Butler might have made sense. Now he doesn't. But that's how desperate he is.
I know.
Okay, so if you can't stop somebody, you better be able to go toe-to-toe with them in the fourth quarter. And Mac Jones has the weapons. If Belichick did what he was supposed to do, which I think for the most part, I think he actually got the right players, let the kid be the quarterback. Okay?
I will say one thing.
Turn him loose.
I don't want to sound like I am down on Belichick. I'm much more in Belichick's corner than RJ is. And when you said Malcolm Butler, like watching that end of the Seattle game, just from the point of view of when Belichick you would expect him to call the timeout, and Belichick's just letting the clock tick down. He put all the pressure on Seattle and on the
He didn't call timeout.
Didn't call timeout.
Forced Pete Carroll to do something.
And Pete Carroll all of a sudden is like, "What? The clock's still running?
Still running. Belichick said, I'm not calling timeout. Belichick says there's something he knew.
Carroll's back on
he
his
knew.
heels.
So Belichick, Belichick as a coach, I don't question his ability to coach the game. Okay?
As a GM.
It's the GM is where my questions with him have always laid. But he went out and he spent this money on all these toys to help this kid out. Well, then let the kid take his toys out for a spin. Because what good are all those toys if you're not going to let the kid play with them?
Yeah.
What good is all that? What good is $156 million in 3 days, which was what he did? Okay? And it was everyone. Matt Judon was the one defensive guy. Everybody else was an offensive player. Okay? And that's fine if you don't let the kid use them.
Right.
So let the kid take play with the toys. Because you're not going to, if you can't stop Josh Allen, which by all accounts he cannot stop Josh Allen.
No.
On defense, you got to be able to match him score for score. And I believe the Patriots, believe it or not, have enough talent to do that if he turns them loose. They brought in that kid from Miami, Devontae, that kid.
Let's see.
Let him go.
I wouldn't bet against Mac Jones, put it that way.
I wouldn't either. I think this is where Belichick needs to be. Back off and let this kid do what he does. He's got a great arm. He's proven he can read defense. They've got a running game, too, by the way. They got 2 good running backs. Yeah. And if James White is supposed to come back, who was one of the heroes in the Super Bowl against Atlanta as a third down back, they've got a slew of weapons, of good weapons here. Let this kid play with his toys. I don't want to come out and watch 2 dive plays on first and second down. That's bullshit.
I think the Patriots are actually a good Super Bowl bet just based on the odds right now.
From an offensive standpoint, I think they're underrated.
Yeah.
From a defensive standpoint, I know they're overrated.
Yeah.
Because if you saw what Buffalo did to that defense, 7 straight possessions with 7 straight touchdowns. Stop me. When was the last time that happened to a Bill Belichick defense? Okay? They had to get younger and quicker. Now, maybe they did that. I don't know. What I do know is this.
We'll
12 months ago, they had 2 number 1 corners on their roster. Right now, they have none.
Yeah.
And in a passing league, you have to have a shutdown corner. You have to have edge pass rushers. I think they got edge pass rushers.
They do.
They don't got a shutdown corner, though.
No.
They don't. So there's going to be a lot of zone. Okay, so you're going to have to be able to go touchdown.
I hate zone so much.
I hate zone.
Oh my god!
It's a bend but don't break, and what they're going to do is they're going to let them go between the 20s, right? Like when they bet, and they're going to try and hold them to field goals. Look, if you turn Mac loose, okay, I'll live with that. I'll live with that, John. I'll live with 27-20 or 34-26. Yeah. The Pats can win that way if he turns them loose.
Yep,
he's got to turn them loose. And to me, this is the biggest thing: is Bill going to take the gloves off and let this kid be the quarterback that I think he can be?
We'll see.
If he can, this is going to be interesting.
It is. It's going to be
if
fun
he
to
plays
watch.
This protective, oh my God, I'll lose my shit. Okay, I will lose it. Okay, they don't have a defense that can do that against some teams, like Buffalo, like Kansas City. These are teams they got to beat to get where they want to go. Like Las Vegas right now with Josh Adams, with Josh McDaniels. They had a Devontae Adams. Yeah. You can't play that kind of against that team. You got to go score for score with them. So
it's gonna be
Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. You can't. No. Okay, you got to be able to go full tilt with these guys.
I'll be curious to see what happens with Joe Burrow too. I thought he got a little bit of hubris going, and then he lost. He definitely could have won the Super Bowl.
I'll tell you right now that kid took a beating and kept getting up.
Yeah.
And a kid like that, you have to, because we had a guy like that. His name was Wes Welker. Remember Wes Welker? Oh, how many times did you think Wes Welker was dead? on a play.
He was twice.
There was, I swear,
just kept
there
going
was
back
plays where he got hit, and you're like, that's it, he's dead, it's over, get the stretcher out. And
Did you-
Wes would pop up,
It's
like
not-
nothing happened.
It's not funny,
And
but did
no,
you
he's
see his
tough.
helmet at the end
Oh.
with Denver? It was this big.
Yeah.
He looked like Marvin the Martian with that extra
Yeah,
padding.
Wes
in there.
Welker has brain damage that we can't, on levels we can't even imagine.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow took a beating like that last year. He led in sacks, and the kid kept getting up. And to Cincinnati's credit, they went and got linemen to address this issue because that was really their one weak spot. So Cincinnati's there too. So Buffalo, Cincinnati, these are teams you got to beat. You can't beat them with this 3 downs and 3 yards in a cloud of dust offense because you don't have a defense like that.
Yep.
So
No, I know.
this is what we're going to be looking for this year. Do me a favor. Before we shut this segment off and go over there, give me a prediction. Give me a win-loss record. Where do you think they end up, and where do you think if they get in the playoffs? How far do you think? What do you think them realistically? As now again, this could change, but as what you know right now, what's realistic for them? What do you think?
Honestly, I'm going to say 10-7 for the Patriots.
Okay.
And
Okay. So possibly wild card,
yeah, wild card.
which is what they were last year.
Yeah.
Do they win a game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
10-7, get to the
Absolutely.
second round.
Yeah, and then once you're in the second round, I mean, one thing the Patriots are good at is succeeding in those tight spots, the late games, a lot of playoff experience. So I mean, I wouldn't want to bet against the Patriots.
If they get in the playoffs,
I just wouldn't want to do it.
and this kid is flirting with 40 touchdowns and he throws for, then at that point they're a threat because that's what their peers are.
Yeah.
And honestly, if they take the gloves off this kid, if he is what he appears to be,
Yeah.
okay,
You know, I'm
he should be flirting.
going to make an amendment.
No, you got a good one.
11-6.
11-6.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean had 10-7. All right, so Sean had 10-7. You're going 11-6, still wild card though.
Yeah.
Okay, but they win a game.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Okay. So, and again, that's going to hinge on their, the offense. Do they come out and attack?
Yeah.
And I'd love to see that happen because at least then Bill's going, look, this is our strength because right now the strength of this team is their offense. You look at the
And
personnel.
I feel like this is not unreasonable just by virtue of the fact that Mac Jones does have. Okay, so he was born in the crucible of Atlanta, of Alabama, but he does have that intangible Doug Flutie type quality. I'm a winner, and I think he's even more like he's all about the team first. The team's behind him, and football is a team sport.
The ultimate team sport.
Yeah, the ultimate team sport, and the team is behind him. They love
him.
Mac Jones.
By all accounts, everybody in that locker
So,
room loves him, which is big.
I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling the energy. I'm going with 11-6.
11-6 and a divisional round, second round. Okay. Yeah. All right, you heard it here. All right, so we got actually Sean predicted them winning a game also.
Yeah.
He said, all right, I like this. All right, this is good. So it's not an over the top, pom waving, scrubbing Bill Belichick ball watch.
It's not going to be 17.
No, but you have that's a realistic. I can see why you'd say that. The key though is the offense. We agree on that.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
What's your prediction?
Mine's later.
Oh boy.
No, mine comes later in the year, right before the season starts. This is the feel good. This is the feel good. We took
I'm all about the feel good.
We took out the trash.
Yeah.
By the way, the Red Sox are winning 4-2.
Oh, good.
In the top of the ninth.
They hurt us.
Well, let's hope they continue. As Cleveland has a runner on second with 1 out. See if Boston can close this out and get off the schneid and get back to 500.
No, I just got to take John Henry's card out Fenway Park for everything. Lifetime bans for the fans.
I want to
here
thank
in IDD.
my brother-in-law.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely,
this man.
absolutely.
He's not just my brother; he's a friend.
Of course. Oh my God,
And I want
we
to
had the
thank
best
him
time
for having us up this weekend.
you and the kids. Oh my God.
And getting to do this. We will do this again. This was fun.
Yeah.
We'll do this again. And you guys have a great. I will return on. I will be back in the sack on Sunday with the redoubtable Tom Izzo himself, who will be more than happy to get back in that chair. He feels like he's being one up by all these studs up here in New England. Tom, we love you. We always love you. You're in Newark, but nobody's perfect. All right. So I'm RJ. That is John McCosh, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend from Falmouth, Mass, where the air is crisp. It is crisp. Okay. You guys enjoy the start to your weekend. I will see you on the back end on Sunday night. And until then, friends, remember.
Lake Flex Studios.
If you're good at something, don't do it for free. Talk to you soon.
Nice. I love